It all began with the forging of the great rings. 3 were given to the elves, immortal and wisest and fairest of all beings. 7 to the dwarf lords, great miners and craftsmen of the mountain halls. And 9 rings were gifted to the race of men who, above all else, desired power.
Welcome to an episode of Happy Hour Podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Tabby.
And this week we are discussing the Lord of the Rings trilogy with some very, very special guests of ours. From Tall Boy Radio, we have Beans and Gaz. Gentlemen, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yourselves?
Doing well, managing.
'Tis the season.
Indeed it is.
Nearly.
It's there.
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
yeah.
Whenever you said we're going to talk about Lord of the Rings and Tall Boy Radio wanted to do it with us, I was so excited. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Well, when I was on their show a few months back when we were doing that Lego episode, I remember their other guests had all these Lord of the Rings Lego sets. And
What didn't he have?
every Lego set that there is. But then I asked them if they wanted to come on here and do Lord of the Rings with us, since we had talked about it back in the summer,
Something
maybe?
like that, yeah.
Long time ago.
Well, I know I wanted to do it around Christmas time because that's when they came out and that's when I'm used to watching them.
Yeah.
Besides being a comfort show.
Yeah. So here we are today. We're doing this thing.
So let's go on this adventure.
Let's go.
I know that
Looking forward to
Beans is ready for it.
I'm excited for all of it, apart from the quiz.
So
All right.
it's okay. Tab's probably just gonna do the trivia by herself, and we'll just watch and listen.
We'll have a go.
Yeah, her and Gaz can do. We'll be the audience, and Gaz and Tab can just do the trivia. Pod versus pod.
So I was super excited when the movie came out.
Yeah.
I read the books in high school, and of course I haven't read them since because I can't find my copies anywhere. But when they said the movies were coming out, I was like, okay, this is going to be cool. And I didn't realize how awesome it was until I seen it. I mean, star-studded cast. We were talking about recasting, but I don't think I could recast.
A
If you guys,
A fan cast would be a horrible idea.
terrible.
Well,
So when
I know Gaz had some ideas about that, though, didn't you, dude? You weren't a big fan of the casting of Boromir in that film.
Yeah, he was the only one. So when you read the books and stuff, Boromir was sort of tall, quite dark haired, and sort of almost that swarthy looking. So they cast Sean Bean, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll sort of let it pass. Every other cast member, every other character, I was down with. I was like, yeah, that's brilliant. I can't imagine, anybody other than the characters that they cast to be playing those characters. Now they were perfect. The only one, like I said, I wasn't massively keen on was Boromir. That was not let down. I just felt as though they could have cast him a little better.
I mean, they had to have somebody die. They had to cast Sean Bean to die. That's all the roles he gets casted in.
They already had Christopher Lee.
What he
Yeah,
does.
it's what he does
Saruman,
best.
so-
Right.
It is.
It is.
Caleb, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he does die well.
Wait, so does that mean you would have cast Danny Trejo as Boromir?
No, that would have been potentially possibly better. I just think when you read the books, Boromir is is quite an imposing character. He's quite big. He's quite imposing. He just, I think he's just a little bit more thick set than Sean Bean. So he was the only one that potentially I would like to say I was a little bit with, but actually everyone else was perfect.
Yeah. So who would you have cast if you were Peter Jackson? Who would you have cast as Boromir instead of Sean Bean?
Oh,
Do you have anyone in
Here's a
mind?
question.
Or?
Here's a question. Do you know who he wanted originally? Because Sean Bean wasn't first choice.
No, he was not.
It's Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Well, before that, Liam Neeson, but he was committed to the Star Wars movies. Would you take Liam Neeson, dude?
I probably would have taken Liam Neeson. I think he would have been more of the frame that I would have thought. You know, Liam Neeson being what is he, sort of 6'3", 6'4", maybe something like that. I don't know, somebody. I don't know. Liam Neeson was the one that sort of sprung to mind initially. There's probably a couple of others out there that maybe I thought about. Even someone like a Gerard Butler or something, maybe more so than a Sean Bean. But I don't know. Sean Bean was the only one that, not a letdown, because I was just so engrossed with the film. I was like, and it was only really afterwards that you thought, right, if I had my time over again, who would I change? And he would be the only one, really.
Yeah, interesting.
You were gonna go.
Yeah, so Fellowship of the Rings is the one we're gonna talk about first. It was released on December 19th, 2001, with a budget of $93 million.
Jesus, 2001. It's old enough to drink in like 2 weeks.
It had a box office take-in of $897.7 million. It was almost $1 billion movie. It has an IMDb rating of 8.8 out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes score of 91%, and a Metacritic rating of 92%.
Of course.
Which is pretty high up there.
Of course.
So, yeah, and the cast, all these. Elijah Wood, Sean Astin, Christopher Lee, Ian McKellen. Just
Sir Ian McKellen, thank you.
Sir Ian McKellen, yes.
Rude.
So many great names. So many great names. And bravo on your Galadriel monologue, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you. I was
good.
trying to summon Kate Blanchett. You know, it wasn't her that they originally had for that, right?
Yes.
They had Frodo reading it. They had Elijah Wood reading that first. Then they had Ian McKellen reading it, and they said it just something wasn't right. And then they had Galadriel.
Yeah. She kind of won the draw.
I mean,
she has a beautiful voice, though, so it seemed good. It seemed good. So, Fellowship.
Yeah.
Let's favorite moments, anything like that from it?
The whole movie.
The whole thing. It's funny because we went to watch it. There's a group of us that went to watch it at the sort of cinema, the pictures. And one of the guys that we went with, sort of towards the end when Aragorn sort of lops the head off, sort of thing, he literally jumped up and like gave a big like in the middle of the cinema, and we were like, dude, sit down. Sort of thing. It was quite humorous.
It was better than what he did at the Star Trek movie, though.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
To be fair,
turn up in uniform.
Oh wow.
Well,
what was one of the things I told you last night about
Fellowship?
I said like going to like a Comic-Con in a Ringwraith cosplay would be like next level.
Okay, let's do it.
It would be so over because they just look so cool.
Fuck yeah. But no, the whole movie is my favorite. Like there's not one scene that
stands out. I mean, the red car in the back.
The one that you've never seen.
Yeah, I've the Easter egg of the red car in the background. I've never seen that car before.
Me neither.
No.
Wow. So I'm not
Caleb? Caleb, have you seen it?
I have not.
Oh my gosh.
You're alone.
I'm alone. So whenever Sam and Frodo are in the cornfield and he goes, if I take one more step, it's the furthest away from home I've ever been. Well, when they pan and do that upshot, if you look in the tree line behind them, Now you might have to go to like a thrift store or something and find like one of the first releases of it, but you could see a red car driving, and
Like
they
where the
took it
smoke
out.
coming off the chimney is.
Yeah,
Like in the
in that
top corner.
in the top right corner, and
Wow.
and I think I still have the theatrical release from when, it comes out after they release it in theaters. I
Yeah.
think I still have it upstairs in my mom's attic. So I'm going to have to get it, and I'm going to show you.
Yes, I really want to see it. Like I've seen photos of. I've looked it up
Mhm.
online and seen a clip, but I've never like watched the movie with that in there.
Yep.
No.
So I guess they cut it out, and when they did like the re-release.
Right.
So thinking about favorite moments, I think one of my favorites is when Frodo and Galadriel are talking, and he's trying to give her the ring, and she's just like, "Nah, dog, I don't want this right now. Like, it's gonna
Yeah.
go bad if I take it. You that's your piece of jewelry. Get it out of here."
Yeah.
I think that was a really good lighting, cinematography.
It's incredible to think. I mean, it just shows, in a way, the storytelling aspect of it, because here's this super powerful being that actually realizes potentially the destructive nature of the ring, and therefore is prepared to sort of give it up, sort of thing, and say, actually, you know what? No, it's fine. You have it. It's yours. Whereas, obviously the storyline is that the ring is all powerful, all encompassing, and that just shows you how strong Galadriel is as a character, that she was able to, I suppose, withstand the power of the ring and actually didn't want it, and was one of the few people that potentially could have given it up, because actually the ring just consumes
What a
everybody, and actually, maybe other than, well, I say arguably, does it consume Frodo? You can argue either or, sort of thing, and without Sam would throw, anyway. That's a whole different story, that is. But it's such a, the whole. I mean, I read the book when I was a kid for the first time. I've reread it sort of 2 or 3 times after, and I've read it subsequently since watching the films, and it is incredible that you can't actually picture any of the characters now not being other than what you see in the film. When you read about Gandalf, when you read about Aragorn, when you read about Frodo, and all the characters in it, you just see those people from the films, and that was what a great job that Peter Jackson did in casting it. Because they do fit perfectly. It was the whole. I mean, I loved the books, absolutely fell in love with the films, and then, as I say, read the book again and fell in love with the book all over again, really, pretty much. So,
Yep, that's on my to-do list, is to read them again.
Yeah.
it's honestly,
I
if you read them again, it is incredible. Just the bits, because they do differ from the film, obviously, and
Right.
Peter Jackson has sort of said, not quite. He apologizes for it, but there's obviously certain bits of creative license in the films, and there's obviously bits in the film that are taken out that are in the book. But when you read the book again, it's almost eye-opening, because you can see the characters and you can picture them.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful.
That's a good take.
I mean, I know that if they would have taken everything from the book and put it into movie, like a movie,
Yeah.
Fellowship alone would be 3 movies alone.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Bombadil.
Yeah.
You
Don't
want to
get him
start that
started on
argument?
Tom Bombadil.
Me too.
It's incredible, because the amount of people who go, Tom Bombadil's like, yeah. Well, he's not in it. And I was like, no, I know. and they should be. But
Again, that would be just a movie by itself.
That's the next trilogy.
Yeah.
You've got the Lord of the Rings trilogy, then the Hobbit trilogy, and then the Tom Bombadil trilogy.
Because when you read the books, he isn't in it hugely, but he is a hugely influential character in the whole ring sort of storyline. And actually, he's not in the film, so you're like, oh, okay. And actually, when you read the books back, oh god, yeah, I forgot about that sort of things. And it is eye opening, having watched the films, which bits Peter Jackson chose to leave out and which bits he's added and which bits he's had a bit of a creative license, and it makes you think, well, why did he leave that out, or why did he not leave that bit out, and why did he put that bit in? And it's fascinating. Honestly, I'd recommend reading them again because it is great. You read the books in such a different light now you've seen the films. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think my books are downstairs in that tote that I pulled from Mom's attic.
I know your Fellowship copy is down there.
That's all I need to get started.
It's sitting next to your Game of Thrones that you borrowed from one of your friends.
Okay.
I think. Don't hold me to it. But
I won't. All right. What other scenes? You guys.
I like Bilbo's birthday party.
Yeah.
That just looks like a good time.
You're not wrong. It does.
Pipeweed, cake, and fireworks. I mean, pipeweed, beers, cake, and fireworks.
Right.
I mean, with Merry and Pippin. I love Merry and Pippin.
It's a great start to the film as well, though, isn't it? Because it's juxtaposed really against everything else that goes on. It just sums up what a Hobbit should be all about, and then they go and disprove those theories about them by being something you thought that they could never be and that they could never do. But yeah, I love that scene at the start because it just tees it up so nicely, and even Gandalf's merry and fun at the start.
Yeah. The other scene that I really enjoy is when they all go to Rivendell, and that's where the Fellowship is kicked off. Where
the forming of the Fellowship.
Yeah, where Elrond
I will take it.
The Fellowship.
I will take the ring to Mordor. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, just have it there that it was that bit. It was when they were all deciding like who's going to have it, and obviously Frodo steps up and he basically goes like, "Well, I'll take it," and they're all literally they're all go like, and they were like, "What?" The thing, yeah, brilliant.
My favorite bit of that scene is Gandalf's face, literally at the point where he hears, I think he hears Frodo first, doesn't he? And he steps up and says, "I'll do it," and you see almost the expression on his face. You can tell that's why he's a Sir, isn't he, Ian McKellen? Because that look on his face, you feel his emotion as he hears what Frodo's saying.
Yeah,
it's because he has such a love for the hobbits, and I mean, he was there for Bilbo in The Hobbit, and then I mean, I'm pretty sure Gandalf had been around watching Frodo grow up as a young pup. So for him to take this task at such a young age, Gandalf knew in his heart what had to be done and or what was going to happen to Frodo.
Yeah. Well, you sort of get the idea, like Frodo has met Gandalf before.
Well, yeah,
because he
in the beginning in the cart.
Yeah, because he saw Gandalf in the distance, and he goes, "Oh," he like looked like in the distance and saw Gandalf and immediately. Oh yeah, there he is, right there.
A wizard is never late.
He arrives precisely when he means to. I love the chemistry between Ian McKellen and Elijah Wood.
I think Ian McKellen has chemistry with anybody. He's so fantastic.
He does, but him and Elijah Wood's back and forth every time that they had dialogue like together, it was so good. Yeah. You could feel the soul in it when they would speak to each other.
That scene though, when the forming of the Fellowship, and it's almost it's almost like a resignation on Gandalf. The look, it's almost like because as I say, I think he knows the journey that Frodo is going to have to go on, and then he knows that actually probably it's a journey that Frodo has to go on, but he doesn't because he's grown so fond of him, and it's almost that like that pain, that just I know what's coming. He potentially would be maybe one of the only ones, you could argue maybe Elrond as well, that would actually understand what's going to happen, and the others are just almost a little bit along for the ride sort of thing. And and for him to it is that one look when it is almost heartbreaking because he knows what it's going to do to Frodo.
The outcome,
and obviously then you come full circle and Frodo's okay at the end and all that sort of thing, and it's great. It's just that I understand exactly the pain he's going to go through.
Why couldn't you grown men step up?
Yeah.
Men of the West.
Men of the, yeah, absolutely.
That's part of the theme of the movie, isn't it? When J.R.R. Tolkien wrote it, he's writing about the weakness of man. And obviously I say we, we're an inferior species, man. We're inferior to the elves, and in many ways, we're inferior to these hobbits because of their innocence. We're corrupted.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And that's a great point, and it is, and it is the fact that the hobbits are so innocent as a race that actually they would be potentially one of the only races that could have taken on the ring because of their innocence, because
and they don't
they
know
have
evil.
no evil, they don't know evil, they don't have it in them, and that's we all said at the same time there, Tab, but we were there right together there saying that.
I'm sorry. Me and Gaz just on the same wavelength right now. We can talk for hours. You guys have a good night. Gaz, you ready? Here we go.
Let's go.
All right. So those are your scenes. Let's throw out some more favorite scenes. Caleb,
I think the Weathertop. I mean, Caleb, Johnny, jump in because I was going to go. We'll talk about Weathertop then, but you jump in, Caleb.
Well, we already just talked about the forming of the Fellowship. That's probably my favorite scene of the movie. And then when Gandalf's there with the Balrog, shall not pass. Bridge breaks. Yeah. Balrog's like, I'm not going without you. And he just looks at the rest of them and is like, run, fools.
Yeah, it's like, fly, you fools. Yeah, it's and it's funny when they're in the mines, and then was it the sort of was it Pippin? No, it was Pippin Merry, and a fool of a tuck, and obviously you can hear it clanking down the well, and all of a sudden like, oh,
to start the whole fucking
and then
thing.
all you hear is there's just a doom, doom. And then obviously what do you say? They have a cave troll or whatever it is.
Yep.
And it's just like as if it couldn't get any worse. It's like, for fuck's sake, they've got a cave troll. I mean, come on, guys, give us a break. You know what I mean?
He turns around, he goes, they have a cave troll. Like, God, no. So not only do we have to deal with the orcs from the mines of Moria, we have to deal with a fucking cave troll.
Yep. Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then the drums get faster and faster as they get closer and closer. Dun, 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 dun. And then you hear them screaming.
Yeah, it's good. And then was there a sort of there's an arrow, and then all of a sudden they come breaking through, and it's just like then it's just pandemonium. And in such a small enclosed space as that tomb obviously is, effectively it's just pandemonium in there, isn't it? And that's obviously that's when you first see, I suppose, Frodo's little sort of mithril sort of shirt and stuff, and it's like you should be dead type thing, and this, that, and the other, and it's just like, wow, okay, brilliant. Just the whole film is just ace in it, basically.
It really is a great one. It really is. Fellowship is even though it's just a whole lot of build up, it's done so well and in such great detail.
Oh my God.
It's immaculate. One of my going back to the Elrond declaring the Fellowship when Frodo says that he'll do it when he's volunteering. Did anyone else watch that and it looked like Frodo was like a little kid trying to interrupt the grown-ups have a conversation
at the dinner table?
Yeah. Like all the grown-ups are like standing around talking, and
they weren't talking, they were screaming at each other.
Well, and then just a little kid behind them. Hey, Dad, hey.
Me, I'll do
it. But it's one of the only few times really that you actually see, and they've obviously CGI'd it really, really well, so that the hobbits actually do look small compared to the rest of the other cast. It's one of the only that there isn't that many times when you actually see in comparison and actually how small effectively the hobbits are.
They had short people, little people actually playing, which they creepily, very, very creepily made face molds of all of the hobbits and made them their own mask to put on. And it's so weird to see like Frodo standing next to Frodo but the masks that they're wearing is creepy. If you ever get to watch it,
it's nightmare fuel for sure.
Oh my God.
Like these little hobbit monsters of Elijah Wood and Sean Astin, and Dominic and Billy.
Oh God, it's terrifying.
It's really creepy.
I'm not kidding you when I told you that I've watched every single commentary and every single behind the scenes shit
It's
on
true.
the extended. I know the random stuff. I'm sorry. No, I'm not.
Sorry, not sorry.
I've got to be honest, I've never seen the extended cut. I've only ever watched the original ones.
The theatrical releases.
Yeah, those are the only ones I've seen. I can see
The-
guys shaking his head in disappointment at me.
I already did too.
Yeah, I saw that too, but I glossed over it.
We'll make our way out there and we'll bring our copies, and you can stay up for 12 hours and watch them with us if you want.
We'll just
As
have
long
a
as I
party.
got beer, I'm good.
Hey, that's how we did it last night. We just drank a case of beer each, and
No, I had a bottle of wine.
well, she had a case of beer and a bottle of wine.
No,
Well,
I
it's
still
more
have a
like
full case in there.
It's more like a gallon of wine.
Yeah, it was a gallon of wine.
One of those big bottles.
Mhm.
So it was like a case of wine to your case
Yeah.
of beer.
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes.
Oh well, I mean, there's obviously Weathertop is quite cool for me, just because it's one of the first times that you actually, in a way, you actually feel the desperation of the characters, because they actually realize, in a way, what's ahead of them. It's not just the evil forces and the enemy forces and all that, and they're closing in. It's the sheer scale of the vastness of distance they have to travel, the elements. That you've got this whole combination, this maelstrom of almost like barriers to them in order to succeed, and not quite forlorn. Well, yeah, a little bit. I got the sense that when they're there, it's like, oh, geez, like however is this going to happen? How are we going to get through this? And if we get through this, we've got another 10 of these or 20 of these barriers to then get through. And it was really, it was sort of the first time that you sort of feel, and there was a little bit when, I suppose, when they got chased, and they went across the river, and obviously the wraiths were stopping, and you thought, oh Christ, okay. But Weathertop really was the first time they had that encounter where you thought, oh shit, this could actually all go pear shaped.
It's the vulnerability of it.
Mhm.
Is like they've never seen this type of evil before, and it's that showing them that they are vulnerable to the evil, and even though Strider's there and he can try and save them, in the end, you're not always going to have someone there to save you.
No,
Yeah.
no, and that so that was, I mean, that was, I mean, and also, I suppose, go back to the first time that you see Strider stroke Aragorn, and he's just sitting there in the corner in the, and he's and they look over to him, and he's just backlit, and you just think, yeah, he's the guy, he's the man.
Yep.
He's gonna sort this shit out, sort of thing. And obviously then he takes upstairs to the bedroom and this, that, and the other stuff. But yeah, he just sits there and you just think, yeah, okay, that's pretty.
He's got a part.
That's the cool guy.
Yeah, that's the guy I want to be with. I want him on my side.
Yeah. What did you say there? Sorry, guys. I was about to say that's the guy I want to be. Did you say that's the guy I want to be with?
That's the guy I want on my side.
Oh, okay. I just felt like I needed some clarification.
Just a clarification there, yeah.
It's okay.
He's a
I want to be
good-looking
with
man,
him.
and I'm not judging.
Adam, did you go? You said your favorite scenes?
No, I think, to be honest with you, we've covered off a lot of them. To be fair, like I say, my favorite scene genuinely is the bit it's just that little fraction, that expression on Gandalf's face when the Fellowship is formed and he offers up the ring, and then obviously down in the mines of Moria, that fight, because literally it escalates. It starts with just that little bit of fun of the skeleton getting knocked down the well, and then, like you say, the beating of the drum, and then everything kicks off. And although we're sort of bought into the character of Elrond, I think that's when Legolas comes to fore as well. When you realize that this guy can really kick some ass, he is an epic character.
Yeah.
And when you talk about the CGI as well, and how they alter the characters, you got the hobbits that are made to look smaller. You got Gimli, which is made to look smaller as well. Because John Rhys Davies is not a small guy; he's a big guy who plays him, isn't he?
6'3".
Yeah, and then
6'1".
6'1", is he? Yeah. And then you've got Legolas when they're walking through the snow. because he's fleet of foot. He's walking on the snow, and it's just the little details that go into that film. It's epic, and I love it. And what is it? 3 and a bit hours long? Is it that one?
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it. He's sucked in from the start, and it just whips by.
Yeah.
The CGI for its time was beyond its time.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. I know as we were watching it last night, you could see certain things are like, yeah, that's definitely a green screen, but you really have to be paying attention to see it.
Yeah.
You got more of that in Two Towers.
Yeah, they use a
the
lot of
obvious
CGI.
green
in Two Towers all the time.
Just going back to Moria and just pick up something there that Adam mentioned in terms of the build up of evil, I suppose. So you go through the sort of the skeleton falling down, and then you get dum, dum, and then you get the drums, and then you get the orcs, and then it's, oh great, they've got a cave troll sort of thing, and then you get through that, and then you've got the Balrog, and it's like an escalation of all these, and you just think, oh great, we've got through that. And obviously they're running through the mines and stuff, and then you've got all of the creatures following them and the little sort of orcs, and then all of a sudden it's like
goblins,
goblin-y sort of little, you know, and then all of a sudden you've got this, and then they stand in the middle and they've got the light, and he's got the flame of Arnor sort of thing, and it's lighting up, and all of a sudden these little goblin creatures all of a sudden go, and you're like, oh great, oh shit, sort of thing, you know, and it's like that, oh
yeah,
oh what's this, and then the Balrog, and it is, as Adam said, it's that escalation from literally an act as small as just knocking a skeleton down a well to actually, holy shit, you've just released this thing, whatever, you know, this Balrog that just brings fire and brimstone and fucking all hell breaks loose, sort of thing. And obviously when Gandalf is then dragged sort of down by the Balrog, just again the look on Frodo is like, oh fuck, sort of thing, you know, that's it, and he's like Gandalf, and it's just like, oh, and
heartbreaking.
It is, and it takes Aragorn then obviously to pick him up and drag him out, sort of thing. But yeah, just the escalation of that was incredible, from, like I say, a tiny minuscule act through to a Balrog, and you think, oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I've got one scene, and it'll also kind of get us into the next one.
Segue into Towers.
Yep.
All right.
Another one of my favorite scenes is Boromir's death. When Boromir looks at Aragorn and says, I would have followed you into the end, my captain, my king.
Yeah.
And then he dies. And I'm gonna fucking cry right now. Fuck. And Aragorn is, be at peace, son of Gondor.
Yeah.
And then sends him down the river. That is a fantastically shot, beautiful day. They had both, like, the camera on Aragorn and then the camera on Boromir. It was just the chemistry, the mood, the setting. And when Boromir is like, dude, I fucked up. Don't take these arrows out because I fucked up. At least I'm dying with honor. You know, that heart-wrenching.
But even the scene beforehand when he's getting hit by the arrows, the way it's filmed, you feel him hit, and you see him. He's got his arm down one side where he's been struck by arrows, and he can barely lift it to defend himself. I think it's phenomenal.
And they're not even like normal arrows; they're like friggin' telephone poles. Like,
yeah, they're huge.
Yeah,
huge.
Giant orcs, you know, their arrows are basically the size of spears.
Urukai.
Looks like meat's back on
the menu, boys. We're almost there.
That's one of my favorite lines in the whole series.
The whole ending of it is when Legolas is like, Frodo and Sam's across the other side of the river. We gotta get him. And Aragorn's like, no, we're gonna go get Merry and Pippin.
Yeah.
And Gimli just gets this look on his face like, yeah, let's do this. And then you enter into Two Towers, and Gimli's like, I want to die.
Again, right at the end of Fellowship there, and it is, again, it's that Sam sort of wading in, and you're not going on your own and almost drowning and stuff, and then Aragorn they get to the beach bit, and Aragorn is literally almost like, no, we've got to let them go. We've got trouble brewing elsewhere, and obviously Legolas is like, there's a foul smell on the wind and all that, and he's like, no, we've got some of the shit we've got to go and deal with, sort of thing. And for Aragorn then to make that decision, effectively not to go and follow them, but effectively to turn and leave them on their own, and you're like, holy shit, sort of thing. And if you hadn't read the books, and at that point you were like, what are you doing, man? It's like, just go and get him, just go and protect him. That's where he is. But then for him to make that decision is like, and obviously, you understand why as you go through the second film, you understand why he has to do that, because actually that's the bigger threat. Yes, Frodo, that is a risk, but actually the bigger threat is elsewhere, and that's why he's had to go and do that. And it's incredible. Crossroads in the film is the end of the Fellowship, moving into the second film, where you think, right, there's justification for what Aragorn's done, and it's brilliant.
I just think he would be too easily noticed. He's on the map and he can't hide as well, and he would bring more doom to Frodo, is what it would boil down to. I mean, we waited a year for Two Towers to come out. At least I did.
No, we all did.
Oh God, it hurt so bad.
So
but then
we can segue into Two Towers now.
We've already done that. We're kind of teetering in between Two Towers and or Fellowship.
Well, we've discussed Fellowship for
30
about
minutes.
40 minutes.
Okay.
So I think it's a good time to segue into Lord of the Rings Part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
AKA, let's just keep going on with the Fellowship.
Or Two Towers.
Oh man, don't get me started.
Because in Two Towers, we can discuss one of the greatest battles in cinematic history, and that's Helm's Deep.
Helm's Deep, like,
so it begins.
And so it begins. Absolutely. But interestingly, when just before we get into Helm's Deep, when you read the book, and this is why I really like Two Towers, is when you read the book, loads of people that I've spoken to, they read it, they said, Frodo and Sam go up a mountain, Frodo and Sam go down a mountain, Frodo and Sam go up a mountain, Frodo and Sam go down a mountain, and so on. But actually, it gives you the sense of that overwhelming desperation, desolation, because actually it literally is then just traveling to get to the point that they need to get to. And loads of people are, and obviously then Shelob arrives and all this, and you've got the spiders and stuff. But in the book, it literally is like up a mountain, down a mountain, up a mountain, down a mountain. And some people say, oh no, it's dead boring, the second book, nothing really. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, it's fantastically written.
I just know I couldn't get through the Treebeard chapter. That one was a little bit rough for me.
I'm probably the person Gaz is referring to. I hate it too. I actually quite enjoy the film, but the book, I struggle with it because it's just, at risk of sounding like Randall Graves from Clerks 2, there's just too much walking around in it.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to also put into perspective the fact of that it was a task. It was a feat that they had to walk so far. And I swear to God, if someone says,
what happened to Aragorn when he kicked the helmet and broke his toe?
No.
Oh, okay.
But there you go. You lost the game.
I was going to say it anyway.
No, I was going to say, the next time I hear somebody say, well, why didn't the Eagles take him to Mordor?
Oh, that.
We gonna fight.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I'm joking.
Yes, you of all people. No.
If they can take him home, they can take him to Mordor.
And this is where my journey ends.
With the Eagles? Or with Aragorn's broken toe?
So you guys then. So I'm going to fire a question out to you three. So Helm's Deep, a better battle scene than the Fields of Pelennor in Return of the King? Are you more of a Helm's Deep, or I know we're going to talk about the third film in a minute, but is that the battle scene for you?
Helm's Deep, I feel, is more violent, and it's more I'm doing this to protect.
Yeah.
the Battle of Pelennor Fields was more of emotional, and we're fighting this to save Gondor. Like,
it had greater purpose.
it had a bigger purpose. So I mean, it's kind of like a I like them both in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Both are good, but both just hit differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
As the kids would say nowadays, it hits differently.
Helm's Deep had a couple of comedic moments in it.
Loved it.
Well, because of Gimli.
Gimli and Legolas.
Shall I get you a box?
What's going on? What's going on? I can't see.
What's going on out there? Yeah.
Should I describe it to you?
Yeah.
And then when Aragorn throws Gimli and he says, "Don't tell the elf."
You're gonna have to toss me.
You'll have to toss me. And Aragorn's like,
what?
He says, "I can't make it. You'll have to toss me. Don't tell the elf." Brilliant.
Don't tell the elf. Don't tell the elf.
And it's just Aragorn's face when he says, like, "Don't tell the elf." He's like, okay. At some point, I'm definitely going to tell the elf.
Do you think that there is a scene that Peter Jackson cut out where he went up to Legolas and said, "Guess what I got to do with Gimli?" And Legolas went, "Oh, man.
I got to toss Gimli. That's a whole different film."
I would love to see that. I would love to see that. But he tells them in Elvish,
so Gimli can't
understand it. And he's like, "Don't make a facial expression." Gimli's like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Don't tell Gimli in regular English, but guess what I did.
I mean, I like the counting too, that they were how many orcs, how many Uruk-hai are they killing? That one was fun too.
That still counts as one.
Yeah,
that was in Return.
I know, but still. the competitive kill streak between Legolas and Gimli that started there, and it carried over into Return. That's a really cool little thing that they had going on. Who can have the higher kill count?
Yeah.
It was really
nice
too.
Because it starts off as well, and you paint the picture, like say, taking it back to Fellowship, that clearly there's history between elves and dwarves, and that relationship grows out of that, but yet there is still that competitive edge to it, isn't there?
Yeah, it's like their little friendly banter.
Yep,
that they have. That's really fun.
You really find out in you kind of find out a little bit in The Hobbit why the dwarves are against the elves, and why there's just so much hatred between them. But yeah, I like that they hate each other, but they're starting to like each other.
Yeah,
that's great.
Well, because the elves and dwarves for centuries had this great rivalry.
Well,
and now
we know why.
You have Legolas and Gimli who are like best friends.
Yeah, but again, you watch and whether you thought they did a good job or bad job, but you watch the Rings of Power, which is set like way before, and even then they start to talk about the mistrust of elves and dwarves, and obviously once you understand that, then you can sort of understand then why in the Lord of the Rings films that and whether or not the Rings of Power was done well, I'll sort of reserve judgment on that a little bit, but
yeah. Well, and at the beginning of excuse me, the first Hobbit film, you see some of that too.
Yep.
Where the rivalry between the elves and dwarves started, and they're distrust.
I was really trying not to bring up Rings of Power because I would wipe my butt with that script.
Yeah, I did say I would reserve sort of judgment on it a little bit, and I watched it because it was I love Tolkien and I love Middle Earth and I love all of that, and you watch it and then you're like, meh.
How far did you get in?
Did
you watch the whole thing?
Yeah, I watched it all.
I'm sorry.
A little bit through gritted teeth towards the end. I'll be honest with you, but yeah, just because I thought, I've got to try to get through it. I think just because I love Tolkien and I love Lord of the Rings and I love Middle Earth and all of that, but yeah, just wasn't done great, but it was okay.
So then I can just skip watching it.
Yeah,
It
don't do it.
sucks.
Don't
yeah,
do
don't
it.
watch it. Yeah,
Alright,
don't
cool.
don't
It's
bother.
not worth it. It's not even. No,
I mean, if you want to watch it and form your own judgment of it, that's on you. But
So back to Two Towers.
yeah,
Because
let's
I'm
not
about to
talk.
get
You know
hot
what?
takey
Meat is
here.
back on the menu, boys.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, I
What
brought the
about
tone
the
down a little
legs?
bit then. Sorry about
What about their legs? They don't need those.
that.
One of the cool things I loved about Two Towers is we really got to dive into a lot of Gollum. Gollum was really introduced here. Like you saw him a little bit here and there
In Fellowship.
in like cameo shots, basically, and Fellowship. But in Two Towers, you got to go all in on Gollum.
Remember when he was like rolling around on the rocks and he was like, "It burns us," and I was
I'll do
like,
it. I'll do
"I
it.
want to." Okay.
It burns us. It burns
Get
us.
it off of
It's
us.
so cold. Get it off.
It bites.
That was really good, Mike.
But
Thank you.
That is a good impression.
That was
Thank you.
good.
he's been working on it since yesterday. Really, very,
No,
very.
I started working on my Gollum impression when I saw Fellowship in theaters. Like that's a cool.
20
voice.
years
I'm
in the
gonna try
making,
that.
yeah.
That's it. Yeah, you've gone
Well,
full on Andy
it has
Serkis.
paid off, Mike. It's paid off.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Andy Serkis, get out of my way.
No,
No,
no, I would never. Not Andy Serkis. No, he is a god to me. No, he is. I love Andy Serkis so much.
Yes, very much so.
I love everything he's in.
I just I love the way that they're. You think he's a creature. You think he's
Yeah.
just like a monster that popped out of a cave until Frodo realizes and he remembers that Gandalf told him that
He's
the
one of
ring
us.
has taken him and
Yeah,
he used to
yeah.
be a hobbit.
Yeah.
And that whole realization of actually just how much the ring can corrupt is, as you say, it's an incredible journey that he went on as a character, but then you as a viewer go on because you realize that, oh my god, he's not just this monster creature. He was somebody before that, and it's this thing, this tiny little ring has done that to him. It's really powerful when you think of that.
Yeah,
That's it.
the influence of it just not only corrupted Gollum's mind, but it corrupted him on the inside and out in such a huge way.
Yeah.
Because
I'm trying to math of how long he had the ring.
who's Smeagol?
Yeah.
Well, The Hobbit takes place 60 years before, so I mean,
The only reason why I'm trying to think of that is because chronologically, like when Bilbo gives up the ring to go to Rivendell or Mirkwood,
he possessed it for over 500 years.
okay, so that's probably why he was not affected. So as soon as Bilbo gave up the ring, he started to age like immediately.
Mhm.
Why didn't Gollum? But of course he had it for 500 years, so he was still
And
saturated with it and it
Bilbo
didn't
only
affect
had
him.
it for 60.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That answers my question.
That's a.
Am
that's
I
a long
right in saying?
time.
Yeah. Am I right in saying though? So when Bilbo hands over the ring to Frodo, is there like when Gandalf leaves and comes back? Is that there's a period of time there, isn't there? Is it something like 17 years? Am I right in saying?
In the books, I believe there is a huge
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
gap.
3 years, I think.
Was it 3
Is it
years?
3? Yeah. Or it was longer.
I think it
Yeah.
was 3.
I don't.
From
I
the
can't-
time-
I can't think.
From
know,
the
I'm
time
trying to
that
think.
Gandalf left and came back
When
to Frodo.
when Gandalf said keep it secret, keep it safe, I'm going to go for counsel
yeah.
and see what I can find
Mm-hmm.
and about it. So
So
It-
there was a 3-year time jump
it might have
in the books,
no, it might have been more than
or
that.
was it? Because it's not mentioned at all in the movie. It's
Like
probably
a
like a
couple
day or
days.
two. Yeah, yeah. It's like a couple days.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm sure in the books it's like a fairly significant period of time. So I've got the number 17 in my head. The 17 years.
I
but
believe
I
it's
could be wrong.
17. Yeah.
17 years.
It is.
Yeah.
Gandalf is gone for 17 years before he returns to the Shire with news of the ring.
Okay.
Oh wow.
All
Well, I'm not
right.
often right about these things. I'll take it.
There you go. Good job.
I googled Lord of the Rings time gap,
Yeah.
and there's just like boom, 17 years. I'm just like, yep, that's it.
And Two Towers is just, I mean, it's not my favorite of the three. It's my least favorite, but it's still in my, I mean, it's my top three. It's my number three movie.
Yeah.
Well,
I
you
will
guys.
go
I
ahead,
was gonna
Bean.
say, it's all right, dude. I was just gonna say, you guys shared a tweet out earlier, and obviously you don't have to give the answer of that away. So I'm just be curious, but I will be willing to bet. So when you're saying which is the favorite, sorry, Fellowship, Two Towers, or Return of the King, I'm willing to bet Two Towers comes bottom by away.
Yeah, I actually have the Twitter
We
poll
can do
up,
that
but
at the end of
yeah,
this.
I'm gonna reveal that after we
Yeah,
get done with
yeah.
our Return of the King discussion.
Cheap Seat Reviews did a Twitter poll on it, and that's kind of how I got introduced to them. They did a Twitter poll back in like February or
Yeah.
March because they were talking about Lord of the Rings, and
Well, they were doing
they're doing
reviews
theirs, yeah,
at that time.
and they surprisingly enough, Two Towers took it like by a landslide. And then Fellowship was second, Return of the King was third.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand, but that's okay.
Hey,
Well,
everyone has their
I've
opinions.
got a lot of friends who, when asked what was their favorite of the trilogy, they'll straight up say, "Oh, Two Towers."
See, mine's
Great.
Return.
Mine's Return as well.
It's
Well,
because of the
mine's-
Battle of Helm's Deep, right?
Probably.
That is a good chunk of the reason why they choose it. Like back when I was a wee lad in high school when Two Towers came out, I was like, man, not a fan of this one. Not a fan. Now, as I've grown older, I'm just like, nah, 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 it's good. It's better than I thought it was. Dumb teenager.
Yeah,
But
not
but it's still, it's still not my favorite. But I do see what people were talking about when they're like, "Oh no, it's really good, Caleb." I'm like, sure, buddy.
Well, that's one of the things I was telling Tab about last night as we were watching it. I said, in my opinion, Two Towers is the bottom favorite for me, but it's still a fantastic, very well performed, written.
Well-
Visually, it's great, but
And you got introduced to a lot of the actors
Yeah.
and a lot of the characters in Two Towers. You had
yeah,
Theoden, you had Eowyn, you had Eomer, you had Grima Wormtongue, you had
Yeah.
Gollum,
mhm.
you had the Rohirrim, and then
Uh,
you got to actually follow Merry and Pippin and actually see them in action.
Yeah, in Two Towers, you get a lot of Merry and Pippin, and those are two of the best characters for me personally
Yeah.
in the franchise. I love Merry and Pippin. Samwise Gamgee is the rightful king. Return of the King is basically called Samwise the movie for me, but I digress. Two Towers is a great movie. It's just not as good as the other two.
Yeah,
So-
I think my opinion of Two Towers is probably tainted from reading the books. And I watched them back, like I say, in preparation for coming on here. I watched the films back last week. I was watching Two Towers, expecting to hate it, and thinking, actually, yeah, this is not as bad as I remember. Like you say, you forget about the Battle of Helm's Deep and other stuff like that. It isn't anywhere near as dull as the book.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
I just
And
said,
even
I just
the
said that
action-
to irritate Gaz.
And then even you got the action with Treebeard, and I think Peter Jackson, again, like I said earlier, Treebeard, the chapter of Treebeard was so boring to me. Like I couldn't get through it, and it didn't help that I was in middle school when I read it, so of course it was probably boring to me because I was in middle school. But the way that Peter Jackson had Treebeard and kept you watching and waiting to see what was next.
Mm-hmm.
And fucking John Rice Davies playing Treebeard.
I learned, what was it, last year?
Last
You
year.
told,
Yeah.
I didn't know that Jonathan Rice Davies was Treebeard.
I didn't know that.
She told me that last
didn't
year
know
when we
that?
were watching it. Yeah,
I didn't realize that. No.
that's Gimli.
And the way that he got
Yeah.
Tree,
Oh,
I
Gaz
knew.
knew.
I know.
So Jonathan Rice Davies plays both the shortest and tallest characters.
He's not the shortest.
No, but it's different ends of the scale. I tell you what, though, that's the one character I didn't. I hate it because I hate saying this because John Rhys Davies is Welsh. I love the Welsh. I'm Welsh,
Yeah.
but Treebeard is the one character that I didn't think that they got quite right. When I pictured it, I pictured a
Groot.
tree, whereas that was more of just like a trunk. I wanted to see more foliage. I don't know if that's a normal expectation, but yeah, I was a bit disappointed with how they had the Ents or the Onodrim in the film. I thought they were a little bit too shy of foliage. Is that normal? Is it just me?
No.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not normal. No, it's not just me.
No, it's not normal. No.
No, I think.
Okay.
To be honest, I mean, Treebeard was one. I mean, it's difficult to imagine what that character would look like because it's a tree. So it's hard to imagine, even from reading the books, what type of tree you picture. A lot of the other characters, you think, oh, okay, I can picture this guy, I can picture that guy, but it's just a tree. Now that would be brilliant, dude. That would be fantastic. They all say just tree as Treebeard would be amazing. Do you want to tell a backstory very quickly to these guys because they won't get that joke?
Yeah, just as a slight backstory,
no.
it's literally all stays where we live. Absolutely nothing happens here. There are no landmarks. There is nothing interesting about this town, except as you drive in, as you're coming in from one side of Cheshire, there's a tree which has got this nodule on it. And for years, someone has been painting a face on it, and nobody knows who those people are. And
That's awesome.
You guys, yeah. That's
Got
an
your own
ent.
Treebeard.
That is an ent.
So that's a Treebeard monument that you have in your town.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So, Return of the King.
Well, I mean, there's a lot more like scenes and shit. Like one of my favorites is when the Ent is on fire, when Isengard is being taken down.
When
and he runs and
Oh,
just
yeah.
dives into it. It's fantastic. I
literally,
love that.
He's got and it literally just goes. He
Mhm.
literally just dives through and puts his head in it. It's just brilliant. I mean, that whole scene where effectively Isengard is flooding and obviously all the Ents are there, and they just effectively, this is going to sound a horrible pun, you know, they just almost uproot, and just as the whole forest just moves on them, then you can see them there standing against the tide, and they just, this water just was crashing against them. These trees are just standing there, and you just think, like, wow. For me, that's the power, the size, the strength of trees, but then just the characters of the Ents in what they've seen, what they've witnessed, the changing of the earth, because they're one of the oldest things, you know, they're one of the oldest living things on Middle Earth. So
They are.
you know, the changes that they've seen, and it was almost like, and I can't remember the name of the one that, but you know, the water comes rushing in, and he just stands against it, and you can see this water battering them, and obviously he literally just keeps standing there, and you said, and that's almost him saying, like, I'm standing against the tide, like, you know, I am going to stand here, and I'm not going to be moved, and I'm not going to fail, and I'm standing there, and I'm going to be strong, and then I'm going to wait for the tide to wash over me, and then I'm going to cause carnage effectively, you know, and that and just little bits like that to the film, and this is going to sound horribly geeky, but you know, for the people that don't necessarily appreciate the writing of the book and then the film and the cinematography of the film, you don't pick that up. You know, these trees are incredibly powerful, and for them just effectively to stand there against the tide and still be there once the tide's washed over them, and then still be able to move forward is like, wow, that's like, oof, blimey, your hair's on the back of your neck sort of thing.
Not only that, but it shows that nature always succeeds. Nature always prevails over industrialization.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing at Isengard is the industrialization of orcs, Urukai, chopping down the trees. And it was like the Entmoots came in and was like, don't think so, dudes.
Yeah. Brilliant. And it's massive. It's massively underrated. That whole, like I said, that whole Isengard bit is massively underrated, because that's like a real key That's a key element, because if that doesn't happen, they can still maintain the building of their armies and this, that, and the
Mm-hmm.
other, and that's a little bit underrated from lots of other people. But I say, unless you're in the know, which obviously,
You also it takes it back to Fellowship as well. Is Isengard is where Saruman was making the Uruk-hai. He was mass producing these orc elves, like these mangled creatures, but he was creating these armies. So like you just said, Gaz, this is if the Ents didn't take out Isengard, there would have been millions more
a
Uruk-hai.
shitload more. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and obviously the Uruk-hai were bred to be bigger, faster, stronger, light
Don't know
resistant, so
pain.
can travel during the day. They don't stop. You know, and obviously, because obviously orcs, when you read the books, they're very light resistance. They travel at night. They don't perform as well during the day. Whereas Uruk-hai they can just literally, like, they just keep going and going and going. You know, so and without that Isengard bit, I'm not saying they'd be overrun by Uruk-hai, but orcs would almost become redundant, and the Uruk-hai would have been. And you imagine when you see the Uruk-hai being the commanders of the army and leading the orc army, imagine the difference it would be if actually the whole army was Uruk-hai as opposed to orc. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, that's a whole different bag.
Right. Sorry, that was our nerd moment. That was our geek out moment there too. Maybe me and Gaz shouldn't do this anymore. We'll just take over the show. I also like the lightheartedness at the end of Two Towers when Merry and Pippin are, well, no, it was the end of the first disc. When they're sitting on the wall of Isengard and they find the pipeweed and they're eating salted pork and then Gandalf comes back in the forest. That was
salted pork is particularly good. Salted pork.
Particularly good because he was drunk and high. He was crossfaded.
Oh, they both, drinking their ale and smoking the pipeweed and eating.
It was the long bottom leaf.
Mm-hmm.
Another favorite. I mean, I don't understand why Two Towers is not one of my favorites. It like in the top two, but I mean, Gandalf comes back, and I like the way that they threw his voice where you think it's Saruman.
Yeah.
Ugh, that's fantastic.
Because they were ready to fight.
Yeah, Legolas shot an arrow, and he goes, "I'm so sorry, I shot an arrow at you."
Oh, it's fine.
It's okay.
Don't worry about it. We're friends.
I deflected it anyway. Let's go get ice cream.
You couldn't have hit me if you tried.
I have to say, and I know Gaz is probably going to slate me for this, but when I read the book, when I read the book, I was 16. I should have been revising for my GCSEs, but I found reading this book far more entertaining than learning maths and what have you. And I remember reading it, and at the end there, when you think that Gandalf has been killed by the Balrog, I remember thinking, this book is fantastic. This is one of the main characters. He's carried over from The Hobbit, and they're not afraid to kill him off. That is epic. And then he comes back, and there was a little bit of me that was disappointed because I thought they'd made this bold move in taking this wizard out of the play, this guy who's probably going to have a huge impact in it, and they've taken him out just to make that challenge a little bit more difficult. Then the next book along, he pops back up again. And I was a bit disappointed in that.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, it's not the same person. That's Gandalf the White that shows up.
Bingo.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But it still was Gandalf, and it still was played by Sir Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
Touche.
Fantastic. Brilliant actor.
Well, Ian McKellen?
Ian McKellen.
Oh,
yep.
yes.
All right. So the final scenes, and I mean, not even that, like the Osgiliath scene where Faramir finds Frodo and Sam and takes them to the cave, and like they're torturing Gollum, trying to figure things out, and then they take him to Osgiliath because he's going to take them to his father Denethor and try and redeem himself to be the favorite, that he has the Ring of Power with him. that is a beautiful, like, there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo,
Oh,
and
that
it's worth
speech.
fighting for. Like,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is one of my favorite
That's one of my
favorite
favorite parts of dialogue from
d-
film.
of any that I quote it whenever I can, and
Yeah.
I always try and remember it.
That one scene is, and there are quite a few in the film, but I say hairs on the back of your neck, sort of. It is that, you know what, there is a reason we're doing it, and we might not survive it, but we're doing it for a greater good. And actually, there is some good in the world, and I can't wait to get back to the Shire, and I can't wait. But actually, we've just got one or two bits of things to do first. We've got to get through the shit first, and then I can't wait to get back there. But there is some good in this world, and it is fighting for, and we're all going to do it, and we're going to give it our damnedest, sort of thing. And when he says that, and it's a whole Faramir thing in terms of, is he good? Is he on their side? Is he not? Does he realize what the ring is? Does he want it just for purely his personal gain, or can he see the bigger picture? And for a fraction of a second, you're a bit like, ooh, where is this guy in the whole sort of thing? And again, it is that he's been not quite touched by the ring, but he's close to it, and therefore he feels its presence, he feels its power. And all of a sudden, is that the ring then reaching out to him to go, oh, well, maybe this is somebody else I can corrupt. If I can get the ring to Faramir, then I can corrupt him, and so on and so on and so on. And you think, wow, and there's just layers and layers and layers in the whole story, and it's brilliant. But that Faramir bit is a bit like, oh, is it? Can't make my mind up about this guy.
But you also have that saving grace of when Frodo was like, the ring tried to take your brother.
Mm-hmm.
And Faramir was like, well, I'm not my brother, so I'm not going to take the ring. So I think that was kind of like a sassy move on his part too, where he was like, I'm not my brother. And that's kind of where he let him go too.
Yeah.
And then we find out their Gollum is taking them down. Oh my gosh. The path. It's not the
Gaz?
Morgul Vale, is it?
Gaz, you want to take this one?
Oh shit. Oh
I know
shit.
they lead him up the back passage into Mordor.
Into Shelob's lair. That's when we first hear about Shelob, and you're like, oh, what is Shelob? Until you get to Return of the King, and then you're like, oh fuck, that's Shelob. Okay. Spiders!
Spider!
Big spider.
Fuck, bitch.
Right,
it's not the more. It's gonna kill me when we're done recording. Is it the Morgul Vale?
Morgul.
Cirith Ungol? No.
No, it's not Cirith Ungol.
No, Cirith Ungol is the bit where it starts off, doesn't it, with Faramir and Frodo at the start.
Cirith Ungol.
Cirith Ungol was the
where the dragons, or the Nazgul. Sorry.
Don't you say dragons?
I will jump through the screen and beat you.
Dragons and Tree Guys.
Return of the King is my favorite. I can talk forever and ever and ever and ever about it.
One of the coolest things for me in Return of the King is when Legolas took down the Oliphant.
Oh yeah.
I thought, oh man, this guy has seen Empire Strikes Back, and when they were on Hoth.
Yeah.
Legolas, take him down.
I know how to do this. Yeah. I watch Star Wars. And then when Pippin is singing.
Yeah. Billy Boyd wrote that song himself.
Yep. The tomatoes.
Ugh.
Eating the tomatoes. Use
Close
the close up
mouth.
of eating. He's pushing them up against his teeth and then nibbling. So gross. No, Return of the King it's just chock full of like great things.
Like?
Because
if I get started, I'm just gonna quote the whole movie. So
yeah,
go for it.
You go for it. You can do that. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, Gaz is the only one gonna enjoy it. Everybody else is gonna be like, "Shut up!"
And no, use that true.
I like
Frodo's schlub face.
What?
Frodo's schlob face.
Schlob. I know you're doing shit on purpose to piss me off.
I am.
Being an asshole. What are some of your favorite scenes in Return?
I mean, right for me. So, and when I watch it, it makes me not make. Yeah, well, it has made me cry in the past, but it's when Aragorn and they're at the top of Minas Tirith, and basically he says, "My friends, you bow to no one."
Oh God damn it, Gaz.
And it's like, and I can feel myself going down, and I'm like, whew, wow, like, because all he's obviously been, there's this big coronation, and he gives this big speech, and then all of a sudden, like, the sort of the hobbits are there, and they go to sort of kneel and
Bow
bow,
to him.
and Aragorn stops them, and it's just like, and it's like, wow. And literally that, and I know it's towards the end of the film, but that scene is just like, so. And every time I watch it, it is just so powerful, and I mean so powerful. It is incredible. And then everybody, and you get this really wide angle sort of shot
On top,
and you
and
can see
everybody
then kneeling, and you're just like, oh wow. So, and it has, yeah, I have been, let's just say, relatively emotional on that scene previously, and I could probably watch it now without crying, but yeah, I would have.
Not me. I'm thinking about it and I'm tearing up right now.
I can make her tear up again. Watch this. My friends, you bow to no one.
That's what he was just talking about.
I know, but I wanted to say the line. I know, but I wanted to say it.
It's just like, oh, that, and look, there's so many. I mean, the battle of the Pelennor Fields, when Yeoman's on the horse and say, "You stay close to me," and fear, and you're just like, oh, and then obviously she's on the field, and it's like, no man can kill me, sort of thing, and she's like, I'm no man, sort of thing.
Yes.
And you're just like, oh, you go, girl, go on, you kick some ass, sort of thing. It's brilliant.
We did get to see some of Smeagol's backstory and how he became
Gollum
and was corrupted by the ring.
Killed his fucking brother for a piece of jewelry.
It was his cousin.
I thought it was his brother.
It's his cousin.
Hmm.
Learn your source material.
Okay. You cheated.
Clearly, you've never read the book.
Clearly, I've never read it.
Watched it for the first time yesterday.
I did. Yesterday was my first time watching it. Just saying. No. Oh man, I just the transformation between Hobbit to Gollum itself was phenomenal. I like the visuals.
Yeah. His transformation from Smeagol to Gollum was really cool. You got to see like that in between point when he was still half Hobbit, and it was really great.
So not only the Battle of Pelennor Fields, but I love the scene of when Aragorn goes and talks to the mouth. And they're kind of setting all of that up, and then he comes back and he starts talking to 200-300 writers, and he's amping them up like, hey guys, we're probably gonna die, but it's gonna give us enough time for Frodo to get the ring up there.
But the mouth of Sauron in the cinematic release isn't in it. It's only the extended cut that you actually see the mouth of Sauron, and you see that dialogue. Because what happens is, in the cinematic one, obviously the gates open and stuff, and obviously you then get Aragorn, and it gives basically the speech that we were sort of messaging each other earlier on.
Yep, that was me.
we were sort of geeking out earlier and stuff, and it gives I see the fear in your eyes that would take, and all of that, and he gives it, Men of the West and all of that, but when you watch the extended version, you don't realize that actually the character, the mouth of Sauron, comes out, and it's just this horrible thing with just a long oblongy face with teeth and also, and
the helmet comes down to right here. It has no nose, and the mouth is huge, and the teeth are sharp, kind of like Pennywise teeth, and over accentuating its words.
That was some kick-ass makeup.
All the makeup was
so
fucking
good.
kick-ass.
but that, you know, and so Aragorn talks to the mouth of Sauron, and then effectively is like, sort of thing, and then he comes back, and then he gives a rallying speech, and but obviously in the cinematic version, you don't see that scene. You just effectively, as I say, see the gates opening, and you're just a bit like, oh, and obviously without seeing it, you don't know what you've missed. But then you watch the extended version, you're like, that's so cool. Like literally, this mouth that's come out, this character has come out and met them, and they've exchanged effectively a dialogue, and that is so cool.
Pretty much going, na 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 na, Frodo's dead. Na na na.
Yeah, because you know, Aragorn's like, well, we've still got time, and you know, basically, you don't know what's happening in the back, and this guy's like, yeah, we do, he's dead, type thing. You know, you can piss off, that's not going to work, and then, you know, and it's that last stand, and you've got the circle of, you know, and the army surround them, and then all of a sudden it just comes, and you just see Sauron's eyes like turn. And you know, at that point, you just think, oh, Frodo, he's done it. You know, you're like, and then it crumbles, and the shockwave comes, and you're just like, oh yeah, man,
takes them all out.
And you see Mary in slow motion, Frodo.
Yeah,
like they knew.
Brilliant, just brilliant. Yeah.
One of the speeches that really got me hyped up through that whole film was King Theoden's speech
in Pelennor Fields.
The Riders of Rohan. Oh god,
that actually back in the day when I was a manager at a haunted attraction, that was something that I would try and do at the last, like our busiest weekend and our busiest night of the season. I would pretty much change the words a little bit to fit the haunted attraction, but I would still
she would do
deliver
Theoden's
that speech.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
But again, it's weird because as he's giving that speech, there's 2 or 3 times where you see Eowyn sort of turn a face because obviously she doesn't want him to see that it's her that's there. And you know, she's a bit like, oh, you know, he's banging, he's riding up along and he's banging the sort of the spears and stuff with his sword, and he's rallying the troops and stuff, and he's just like, oh my god.
Yeah. You know what we forgot?
No. What did we forgot?
We forgot
to
look for my coming.
Huh?
Look for my coming. First light on the 5th day.
Oh yeah.
Fucking 2 towers. Whenever Gandalf tells them, look over here.
Oh, that
And then they come down. Then they come down the hill, and obviously as they are fighting, they all look up and they just see it, and the
orcs are like, oh fuck, nope. What is this? Oh god.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah.
That's there's so many good saves in these battle scenes too. Like in the Battle of Pelennor Fields, whenever Aragorn breaks away from everybody and goes into the mountains to reclaim his rightful, I guess, title, and you know, you promised me time to fulfill your oath. Let's go kick some butt.
Mm-hmm.
In the extended version, what you guys don't see if you didn't watch the extended version is there's this boat that pulls up, and what's really cool is they're like all of those Easterlings, and they've got like this heavy eye makeup, and it's cool because it's like Peter Jackson and like the Andrew Letney, the director of photography, all of the guys who are like part of the crew that are main people, they're on this boat portraying these Easterlings, and Aragorn like moves his sword, and then all of a sudden the green army behind him just goes and like attacks the ship, and
the army of the undead.
Yeah.
I love the scene where Aragorn is trying to convince them to like come fight with us,
and Gimli's like, I don't like this.
Yeah. And then Gimli's like, let's not release them. Let's keep these guys around. These guys are badasses. And they're like, no, you need to fulfill your oath and let us be free. And Aragorn's like, all right, yeah, you're good. Go ahead. That was pretty touching. But also Aragorn trying to convince the army of the undead to come with them to help out. That was a pretty cool scene in the film when they met.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question then? Just taking you back to the mouth of Sauron, because obviously I'm someone who's not seen the extended cut. I've only seen the original cut. Does it say at any point in any of the extras that you've seen on that, or in any of the commentary, why that bit was left out? Just out of interest, because like, I listen to you guys, it seems like a fairly pivotal part of that scene that I feel like I've
It's
missed out
pretty
on.
important. Why it was cut out
Yeah.
from the theatrical is that's
I don't
know. Because that's a
Yeah.
pretty
I don't know.
important thing.
Yeah.
Because
What's
that
that?
effectively that Sauron. Well, it is the mouth of Sauron. The character is the mouth of Sauron. So that's Sauron's physical
Talking.
form talking
Yeah.
to Aragorn, and it's that one-on-one sort of dialogue. Yeah, there you go. That's
All right, cool.
And so he comes
Oh.
out of the basically he comes out of the Black Gates or whatever, and fronts up to Aragorn, and Aragorn goes and meets him, and they have this dialogue, and then effectively they both end up sort of words effectively like, well, fuck you sort of thing, you know, and Aragorn returns, and you don't see that in the theatrical release at all. And
Yeah.
and I'll be honest. I mean, obviously, you watch the theatrical release and first time round, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. And then you watch the extended cut, and you're sort of like, well, why didn't that happen then? Why did they cut that bit out? Because that was like a really important bit. So a bit weird.
I will get a letter into Peter Jackson and see if he'll answer me of why that bit was cut out. Good one.
Yeah, I literally just curious. I just genuinely don't know why, because you can understand perhaps a couple of other extended cuts, and it might be a slightly extended battle scene or a slightly extended bit of commentary or this and the other. But yeah, that bit is pretty important.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any favorite scenes before I go off again?
Go for it.
I mean, I could, but you're just gonna name them, so I'll let you do it. You'll just do it better than I could. So you know,
Right.
I'm really here just to hear you all talk about it and be like, man, this is great. I gotta
It's
say,
like I'm watching the movie all over again.
I love listening to people who just people talk about stuff they love so much,
Yeah.
and you know, it's been entertaining. It's been good.
I've got another question.
Sure.
We've been recording for quite a while now, and nobody has mentioned Caleb's uncanny resemblance to Gimli. And how's that?
It's just assumed, you know. It's
Okay, it's just taken for granted.
We all know. We're just like, yeah, we'll just go with it.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, I do have a habit of saying "and my axe" a lot.
Nice.
This is true.
No.
The only downside is I don't have an axe, so I'm just full of lies here. Whenever I say "and my axe,"
We'll get you an axe, Caleb. I'll make you one out of aluminum foil and cardboard.
I mean, and I'll
There you
rock
go.
it. I'll be like, "and my
Right,
axe."
So I do have our poll from that I posted yesterday. It had 103 votes.
Oh shit. Okay.
Coming in at number 3, Two Towers.
Oh
Two
my
Towers, yeah.
god.
30%.
Holy shit.
Coming in at number 2 with 32% of the
Return of the
votes
King.
is Return of the King.
Fellowship took it.
And
Fellowship, wow.
Fellowship won with 38%.
It's been a
Wow.
close race.
Yeah, it's closer than I expected.
Out of 103 votes. So
Wow.
Fellowship wins.
I'd
That's-
agree with that. And not just because I
Now-
voted twice for Fellowship.
I voted 3 times for Return of the King.
I voted twice for Return.
Oh, yeah, that evens out.
It
I
didn't
think
work.
No.
Return of the King, I think, is, and let's go back to something that Mike said an hour ago, whenever it was, an hour and 10 ago. Sam,
Yesterday.
just talk about Sam. Like, you know, I might not be able to carry it, but I can carry you. And just puts it, and you're just like, that guy is just
Yeah.
an absolute, he is a stud, that guy.
Yes.
There,
And he fought Gollum.
there was a meme I saw a long time ago, and it was a picture of the whole fellowship. It said the fellowship at
100%.
100% power, and it was everybody. And underneath it, it said the fellowship at 99% power, and it was just a picture of Samwise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that one. I mean,
Sam is great.
He was a cheerleader. He was there for not only moral support but emotional support.
He's best friend goals.
And I mean, that's super best friend goals. He fought off a fucking spider and orcs, and he braved things that I don't think any other hobbits would have.
And he's the only one. He got the girl at the end.
He's the only one that got the girl at the end, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He got the girl at the end.
Fair play
Rosie Cotton.
Rosie Cotton.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, Aragorn got his lady too.
He always had her.
Yeah, I think he got a couple. Once while I was in Rohan, and once while I was in Rivendell.
Faramir got his girl at the end. I mean, he got Eowyn.
They're tall, good-looking dudes that have skills. Sam is a hobbit who hobbits don't like to do shit.
Gotcha.
Nothing.
Yeah.
They hate everything. Sam is a hell of a gardener. Which leads me to believe that he's quite the master in the kitchen, perhaps.
Or he grows it and she cooks it.
No, he's a chef.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Sam can cook up a storm.
I mean, look, we saw how much he cared about potatoes.
Yeah.
Oh, passion.
They literally showed the stew that he was making,
which looked delicious.
It looked,
and it was just a brace of conies.
Yeah, but it looked like some of the best potato soup I have ever seen.
There's conies in there.
Yeah, it looks so
not
good.
Not only that, we know from previous films that he was an expert with One-Eyed Willie.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
He found pirates.
I'm sorry.
Oh wait, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. And he's a hell of a football player
guys,
too.
Come on.
I'm a little bit sad that they didn't go further into Merry and Pippin's end after Frodo got on the boat. Yeah. I really think it would have been cool even to do like a what is it, a prologue?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
is what they call it, a prologue.
Epilogue.
End credit scene.
An end credit scene would have been fantastic too.
Yeah.
I mean, to find out that it just angers me that they could have ended it and shown us a little bit more.
Merry and Pippin opened a couple of distilleries or dispensaries.
Both.
Yeah, both.
And then we haven't even touched on it, but I am gonna say the music in this, Howard fucking Shore.
Oh god, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Brilliant. Genius.
Yeah. Howard Shore earned his paycheck 100% for this.
Also picking up Annie Lennox to close us out.
Yeah.
Fantastic choice.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. That is
Liv Tyler had a song in it too.
She sang in Return of the King when Faramir and Eowyn are making googly eyes at each other.
Yeah. It would have been cool if they had Steven Tyler.
No, it would not have. No.
Or at the wedding. All right, so at the reception, my dad and his band are gonna play, and it's Aerosmith. Aerosmith is here, guys. Woohoo!
No. I'm out. Oh God. All right. So, we have been recording for a very long time, and I could go even longer because I don't geek out or nerd out as much as most people do on things. Like, I'm not very smart with like DC and Marvel and Star Wars. I know enough to hold my own, but this one I can correct people. This one I am passionate about. Lord of the fucking Rings.
Well, you'll be the same with next week's episode when we do The Walking Dead.
That's true. I do know Walking Dead pretty well too.
Yeah. That's a quick little teaser for next week when we celebrate 12 years of The Walking Dead. We were going to do a trivia, but we are officially running out of time. So, yeah, I guess we'll close this out. Beans, Gas, thank you guys.
Anything else
so
you guys have to say before we go?
I just want to say, look, I don't very often on a podcast get to sort of geek out my inner geek nerd, and me and Tab were like, am I a geek, am I a nerd? Well, why not be both? It's like, hey, both cool sort of thing. So there aren't many things I'm a bit of a geek about. Lord of the Rings is definitely one, and Middle Earth is definitely one of those things. So I'm a little bit of a Marvel geek as well, but not quite as much as a Lord of the Rings. So honestly, guys, I mean, it's an hour and a half basically. It's flown by. I could carry on for easily another hour talking about it. Absolutely love this episode. Loved having being a guest on your show. So yeah, look forward to next time.
Hell yeah. Well, maybe down the road we'll have you guys back on again, and we'll do The Hobbit.
I am so down for that.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, absolutely, we'll do that.
I will shit all over those movies.
Well, we could do Rings of Power instead, if that makes you feel better.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sick that day.
So The Hobbit it is.
Do you guys want to plug your shit?
Yeah, plug away.
Yeah, I guess if you want to head over to tallboyradio.com and check out what it is that we do, Lord only knows what that is, but you'll find every episode of the podcast that we've recorded there. And if you want to say hello to us, you can get on at Tallboy Radio, at Twitter and Facebook, and at Tallboy Radio Podcast on Instagram. But yeah, we do an episode every week, and it's something different. It's something different, and Gaz doesn't get to geek out though half as much as he has done here. So we need to address that maybe.
Well, that's okay, because anytime that Gaz wants to come on and geek out about Lord of the Rings, let me know. We'll totally do it again.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do it again, because there's so many things we actually seriously haven't even talked about. So we'll definitely do it again at some point.
Yes, absolutely.
Fuck yes, yes.
Absolutely.
That just made me so excited.
All right. Well, guys, thank you both so much for being on. Send our love to the wonderful Andy. I know he couldn't be with us today, unfortunately. But Andy, if you're listening to this, just know we love you. We miss you. We hope you're doing well. Thank you guys for plugging your stuff again and being on the show.
Welcome back to Caleb.
And welcome back to Caleb, of course.
For this episode, because it's peak season at work. So I've got like next Saturday, and then I'm
7 days a week.
The 14 days leading up to Christmas, I'm
Gross.
working every day.
Gross.
So I've got like 2 more Saturdays.
Yeah. Rough.
Wow.
Hey, I need the money.
There we go.
Have a car payment soon.
Right.
Huzzah.
Well, I had a fucking blast as always. Even more so on this episode, because I got to nerd out. Or we could call it Neek or Gerd out.
I like that. Good. Let's Gerd out next time. We'll do that.
Fuck yeah, Gerd out.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for this episode. As always, you can find all of our socials, listening platforms, buy us a coffee by visiting our link tree at linktr.ee/happy hour podcast 3. And also in there, Tab, what can they find?
You can find a nice little tab, no pun intended, that says Unfortunate Horrors, which is a podcast that myself, Jennifer from What I Had Heard Was, and Lisa from Designated Quizzers has came up with. We are 3 beautiful ladies who talk about things that men don't think ladies talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then we do have some guests on. So if one of us can't make it, we have the beautiful Pollyanna Amazing from Buried Pleasures.
And Lisa's cousin Sheila.
This past episode, Lisa's cousin Sheila did make an appearance, and she was a different type of character.
Sorry.
But yeah, if you get a chance, take a listen. It would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, 100%. All right, well, that is going to do it for this episode. It's time to bid fond farewell to the beautiful Middle Earth and head back to regular old Earth.
I don't want to.
So, signing off, I'm Mike.
I'm Tabby.
Take care. Good night.
Bye.
So nearly chimed in with that. I'm beans.
And
There we
You
go.
could have.